Um, yeah, then I had like a kind of quick note at compositing. So in compositing, it's really just it's going to be mixing textures together. So I'm going to create a new base. And I'm going to call this compositing. And I'm going to go inside and create a GLSL top. And I'm also going to create two different movie file ints. So I'm going to keep the banana for the first one. For the second one, I'm going to use the oil drums again. So the very simple operation. So you have like the built-in at top. So if you connect both inputs, so what it does is it takes the pixel value from the first input and add it to the second input. So if we want to recreate this ourselves, I'm going to delete this operator. And I'm going to connect the banana here and the oil drums here. So we're going to get rid of the second line. Oops. So right now we're, bless you. So right now we're only getting the banana, which is the first input. So we're going to rename this to color 1. We're going to create a variable called color, which we're going to initialize to 0. And save. And now we're going to copy and paste this line, call it color 2, and we're going to sample from the second input. And we're going to say color equal color 1 plus color 2. And surprise, we get this.
Can I ask a question? Why do you use the first line in the function?
I think this one. I think it's just to kind of make it clearer.
Okay.
If I could just use one variable, I could. I'm just gonna duplicate to make things clearer. But the same thing would be, okay, let's keep this one color. And here I can just say color equal color plus, or I could, and that would work too. Oh yeah, because then, and that would be the same.
Right, okay. Got
A shortcut for that would be to do plus equals. This is just like a syntax thing. So plus equal is the same as color.
Oh, same plus.
Yeah,
Itself.
yeah.
Gotcha.
It's like adding to itself.
I didn't know that. I haven't seen that for.
Yeah, so you have plus equal, multiply equal, minus equal. I think, yeah, if you're like, when you're starting out, it's simpler to like be very explicit about things.
Cool. So.
Oh yeah, and when you see that, so what you have to understand is all of this is kind of executed and stored in like a temporary variable, and then color gets replaced. So yeah, it's a little confusing. So the right, the part after the equal is kind of executed first, and then it's gonna update the value of color. when you do these kind of things. It's it's like you'll find this is like a lot of programming languages. I think in Python is the same. So another thing we can do is we can do a multiply operation, and it's exactly what it sounds like. So if I do multiply, so since the banana had a lot of empty pixels which have 0 value, it's gonna kind of, all these pixels are gonna become 0, and you're gonna kind of see the banana tinted by with a tint from the second input.
So it's almost like when you're using the over top and you switch between the different.
Yeah, exactly. I was just just showing how what's the underlying code. And then so you have so if you want to kind of like, I think now Touch is pretty complete, and like they added like a lot of operation in the composite mode. But if you go to Wikipedia blend mode, then you get like kind of the math for every operation.
Oh, cool.
So you get the ones from Photoshop as well. And so you see some are like much more complex.
Oh, yeah.
How they like do the math on the colors.
Question for you: that PDF that you have there, is that something that you're gonna?
I'm gonna share it with you.
Right.
Yeah. And a really classic operation is the over operation, and this one uses the alpha channel. So if you're interested, there's also a Wikipedia page called Alpha Compositing. But what I want to show is in the palette there is a pretty interesting component which is called, I think it's in Tools, and it's called MultiMix. So if you drag that one, so for the moment, so this is the MultiMix tool. So I'm gonna keep this too. And the nice thing is, so in all the classic touch operators, so you can only do one operation. Like the composite is gonna multiply all the inputs together or add them together, and the multi-mix you can do different operations for each layers. And if you kind of dig inside, the way it's done is using GLSL. So if, for example, I say the layer 1 is the oil drums, and the layer 2 is the banana, and the layer 3 is also a banana. But so using what we've seen previously, with UV coordinates, you can modify the UV coordinates for each layers, and you can change the blend mode for each layer. And so the way it does it is kind of clever. So if you kind of dive inside, so you open MultiMix, then you open Mix, and you're gonna see this GLSL multi. So this is the same as the GLSL top, except it can take more than 3 inputs. And here you can see the code. And the interesting part about it is based on the operation you choose on the interface, it's gonna edit the code to kind of do what you need. So you can so you can see it. I'm gonna talk about define soon, but you can see it define different function. It define the over function, lighten, and add. And so you can see also the code for every operation. And just to show, I think if I show this here, so you can see if you look here, the blend 2. So when I like kind of change thing, it like edits the code. And I think it's using Python to kind of edit the text file and like. So if you want to learn more about compositing in GLSL, that's a good place to start.
We only got checkerboard.
Do all the people on Macs are getting error checkerboards for the MultiMix?
No.
No?
Sort of.
Okay.
I mean,
So yeah, so I think it's I'm gonna also take a picture briefly to.
Dot slash for the
Sorry.
part of the file path, the dot slash. Like when it was like this, it wasn't.
Oh, it doesn't work in the beginning.
Yeah. So
Yeah, maybe it's like an easy fix if you dive inside. But yeah, it should work out of the box. Like. And just to, oops. And just to practice a bit, quick editing using UV coordinates if you want. What if you wanted to kind of animate the banana translating on the oil drums? So what we would do is we would define kind of a new uniform, and we would say I'm gonna, yeah, sorry. Oops. And so the banana is input 1. And so what I want is to add, so U offset is only a float, so I need to create a vector 2. And I want to do the offset in the x coordinate. So I'm going to do U offset and 0. So now I get this little error because I haven't, a warning because I haven't defined offset. So I'm going to add it quickly here. And now you can see I have this like little slider to animate. So one thing silly, for example, is the like a lot of the top operators, like they don't have any control for the opacity of the inputs. So it's easy to drop a level in front, but if you want to keep things like a little tidier, you can just like kind of recreate your own and like add a few extra controls. Yeah. All right. Yeah. Oh yeah. So one new thing that's in this latest series of build from Touch. Now you get the GPU cook time. So so you can see how expensive your operations are inside of the top, because the CPU cook time doesn't reflect this code at all. It only kind of reflects kind of the creation of the rectangle. So sometimes you're gonna do operations and you want to see how expensive they are and like where you're dropping frames, and now you have this GPU cook time which like helps you narrow it down.
Is that GPU memory new too?
I think GPU memory has been there for a while.
Oh.
Yeah. The nice thing is, so if you don't animate anything, then it's only gonna do the math once and then just store the texture. If I do like a quick expression here, so I'm doing. So it's not really good practice, but just to get some animation. And so now you can see the number of changing, and you can see this tab consumes 0.3 milliseconds. And the nice thing is, like, when you go to the parent level, okay, so that's, yeah, so here it's showing 0, because since we're not displaying anything, it doesn't have to cook.
Gotcha. But then if you turn the...
But if I was, yeah, if I was creating an out, and, or I can just turn the viewer on,
Yeah.
and then you get the cook time for everything that's cooking inside. So, yeah. And so, for example, you can see it's, let's see if that makes a difference. Yeah, so you can see that if I'm using 8-bit textures, then I'm like using 0.3 milliseconds. But if I change that to 30-bit float, now I'm using 4 times as much.
Wow.
So you really want to use the extra precision only when you need it.
What's the easiest way to rename your GLSL files? It's not that crazy.
Which part?
So in your text editor, like the GLSL.
Oh, I think this is just it's a temp name that it creates. I mean, what you can do if you want to keep things tidy, or
Shader, or which code I was using is...
what you could do is, does this work? Yeah, you could save the content of this, and then you can like create a separate text file, and then you can load that in Touch, and this way it like keeps things separate. I think there might be some quirks, yeah, about like saving and reloading and make sure everything stays in sync. So, but I think yeah.
It's not like renaming it in the...
Let's see. I'm gonna try it. So. Oh yeah, so I think if you turn on this write onto save, then every time you you save the TOW file, it's gonna also save the GLSL. But for example, if I do, if I change this, and now I kind of like see if that's.
You have to save the TOW.
No, I mean, it seems it's updating the text file every time. So I think that's, yeah. Oh, is it? Sorry, it's not. Oh yeah, so see, it didn't save the thing I just did. But I think now if I save this, and then, so now it saved it. So it's only gonna save the text file when you save the TOW file, not every time you kind of edit it. So just like some things to keep in mind.
Right.
Yeah.